This bigger O-ring right here is, like I said, it took me a moment to figure out where it goes. It actually goes on the choke mechanism. And when I realized that, I was looking at it and it was all still nice and shiny and everything. It's like, well, maybe it doesn't need to be replaced. But after taking it off, every single one of them needed to go. And you know what? I paid for the kit, so why the hell not? You know, just do it. So that's everything that comes in the kit. Like I said, the bigger of the small O-rings, that doesn't make sense. That goes up where the diaphragm is. The smallest of the O-rings, that actually goes on your air fuel mixture needle. The great big one obviously goes, like I said, on the choke, and these two go on the plunger for the diaphragm that holds the needle and everything in, and on the main jet. These ones were obviously totally destroyed. I mean, they were almost plastic. You know, they had turned into plastic, so it's worth doing. Now, I recommend, and this is kind of a good time to do this. In fact, I'll just tell you this, and I'll give you a little side note. When you take these out, make a note of where the little circlip is on all the needles so that they all match up. You want to make sure that everything is pretty much exactly the same. Same thing I learned with the service manual, which is something I recommend. I found this bad boy on, I think it was eBay for like $23. This is just so badass, I can't even begin to tell you. I love that thing. Just some wicked information, and it's the correct information. With the air fuel mixture screw, I wasn't sure how far to take it out, and standard is 3, so I know that's my baseline. I've heard people say 3.5, 2.5, and it's just, I wanted the right information. So always check, make sure that everything is exactly the same on here, as far as placement and everything, because you don't want anything messed up. Now, another note I did notice with this bike, and this is why it's so important to clean your carbs, man. You want to really get to know your bike. The guy who put this together, and he's got 2 other bandits, you know, nice guy. I don't think he did this purposely, or maybe had somebody else do this, but when they put the diaphragm back together, they didn't put this washer that goes on here, or this little metal washer. They didn't put that on here. It was just floating around inside the diaphragm, and I accidentally turned the diaphragm over, just taking a look at the needle, and something fell out, and I'm like, what the hell was that? So definitely want to make sure, you know, they've got all this. Now, just to let you know, the way this I'm going to show you this because I'm putting this in the bike now. We're in the carburetor. This diaphragm has this cute little bead that goes on first beneath the I'm trying to find the camera here, so let's zoom in, below the clip. Then this goes on top, okay, just like that. And I'm going to put this in here because I want to get this out of the way. I don't like really having a lot of small parts floating around. And now I can see how why that little metal washer came off. So I've got the whole block, so I want to have a controlled descent of the needle back into the diaphragm. And oh yeah, let's do that. Why don't we? Well, I've got you here. There's a spring there. Now I've got a Q-tip and I've got some WD-40 on here. What I want to do is just kind of lube that up just lightly. All right. So that's on there. There we go. And I'm going to hold the needle still and grab my cheap ass pliers. The spring's still there. And there we go. And that is in. And it took me a while to figure out that these just pull out. These little plungers in here. And this does spin freely. The other bikes I've had, you had to push down and twist to get the stuff off, so it was a little bit difficult. Now, like I said, the last video I did was almost an hour. I'm not going to do that to you guys. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put one together, and then I'm going to fast forward and put the other ones together, and then I'm going to slow it down so that we can all together, all of us, learn how to put this stuff in. I will probably cut to the video because I want to get, I've got these actually a little bit loose, so they kind of, you know, wobble back and forth. I want to take these apart as slowly as possible because I don't want any spring to jump out of nowhere. I plan on videotaping everything, you know, going around with a videotape so that I can see where everything is, just in case something pops out. I can review the video and see where it possibly went. So, but like I said, I'm going to get rid of all this crap on here so that if I see something jump out, I'm going to know exactly where it goes. Now, you probably saw this on one of the other videos I did. This is what, I don't know if it'll come out with the lighting we have here. And if you hear any screaming in the background, I'm right next to the pool in my apartment complex. So there's kids out there playing. This is what everything in the carburetor, all of them look like. Literally, I mean, this is just all messed up. And there's stuff caked on there. These are just toast. I wasn't even going to try. I can see the plunger stuck on that one, and the thing's still fired up. I don't know how the hell the guy did that, but this bike's getting some seriously needed TLC, and I also got some new fuel hosing. It was 5/16, but what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put an inline fuel filter in here as well. I like to do that. The tank looked like it was in really great shape, but I'm also going to clean out the tank. I'm just going to use this, really, and maybe some new gas, roll it around, kind of let it sit for 20-30 minutes, agitate it, get it out of there. But just in case I want to have a fuel filter in here, it's just literally a $2 or $3 insurance policy. You just can't go wrong with that. Let's see if there's anything else offhand. I think that's about it as far as where we are with this. So now, like I said, I'm going to put one of these together. And like I said, I don't know how carburetors work. There's videos out there that show drawings and little animations of how it works. Great, rock on. You know, I don't need that yet. I probably will. This is just what I'm going to show you is literally just how to put everything back together, clean it, and all that. So it's going to be pretty simple for everybody. But so let's just start with the pilot jet and just watch what I do. It should make nice sense. Find my flathead here. Good, that works. And I'm not cranking these down. I actually had on my, and this is a fun tip, the one of the Kawasaki Ninja 500 EXs I had, it just sheared off. I don't know what the guy did. He had something and it was cracked all the way up and down, and I was trying to fix it and it just broke off. And I was just sitting there just staring at it like a monkey looking at a math problem going, well, now what the hell do I do? You know, it was only a twin carburetor. It's not a big deal. You know, they weren't inexpensive. But I actually put it back on, got it aligned actually pretty nicely, and just used a JB weld. And that was good for 4 years. Not an issue. Right before I sold it, I went and looked at it because I told the guy what I did. And he saw the video I made of it. And he was like, that's freaking wicked. So JB weld rocks. But you don't want to crank these down too hard, because obviously you just don't want to screw any of that up. Now, before I put the main jet in, this little spacer down here, which literally fits like this inside the carburetor, and the diaphragm needle goes in here. This could go a couple ways. One of them is bad. There's an open end, as you can see, where the hell the camera is. And if you flip it over, there's a much thinner non-open area. You want this open area where the needle would come inside here. You don't want this side. A friend of mine had what the hell was it? a Suzuki 1100 cruiser bike. I don't remember which, a Shadow, that's what it was. And the guy who had rebuilt these, he sold it. He couldn't get the bike to work. It would only work on choke. It wouldn't work on anything else. What he had done is when he took them apart, he flipped this over, or somebody did, in the two carburetors. And it just wouldn't work. We sadly cleaned his carbs like 4 or 5 times, put it back on. They were immaculate. I've never seen carbs look that good before. And it still had the same problem. And we were just couldn't believe it. We just took everything apart the way it was and put it back together. So we realized that there had to have been something that was twisted or upside down. And sure enough, it was this thing, and it just fired right up, and it was beautiful after that. So this is the bottom of the carb. This you want facing the top of the carb, so you just put that in there. And it's not seated yet. See if I can get that to seat. Then the main jet goes on top of that. Now it turns over and look at some. Nice. 1 second for everybody. Okay, what I'm going to do. I'm going to cardboard. Give that a little bit of lube here. Don't get this bad boy twisted up. Do it. Getting into line. Okay. Once, grab another one here. Once this, there we are. This is placed in there. I just screwed down the main jet, and you should be able to see, where the hell's the camera? You should be able to see that popping out. Where the hell? There we go. Right there. And that's where the needle's going to, sorry. That's where the needle's going to come in here, and then seat inside that. So there we go. Now there are 2 different jets on this bike, and it really was a bit odd for me to have 2 that looked exactly the same, but these 2 little bastards right here were a little tricky for me. One is the main jet and the other one is a starter jet. I didn't know which was which. I had no idea. Blind as a bat, couldn't really tell, any writing on there. I had to steal wool just to get that off so that I could tell. And then I found out, because stock, I think this comes, the 2001 1200S came with a 100 main jet and a 60 starter jet, or I don't know, whatever the hell they call those. This guy had a 144 main jet. He had the shim on this. If you remember when I showed you the first one, he had it shimmed really low so the needle was going to sit higher. And so I took those into the bike shop and I said, okay guys, because he also had two K&N air filter pods on this. So I brought all these in. I said, if you saw this in a bike that you bought, what would you think the owner was trying to do as far as where the needles was positioned, the size of the jets? They said, well, it looks like he's trying to richen it up. So evidently with the pods on there, the air filter allowed more air volume to go through or something like that, which leaned out the fuel air. So he was trying to get more fuel in there to richen it up. I need to look at the spark plugs to verify that, but they didn't see anything that was really bad or anything that was shocking to them. They could see why he did what he did. There were no numbers, because usually there's numbers on everything. On the pilot jets, there were no numbers showing size or anything like that, so I didn't want to put everything together and find out this guy had just hodgepodged this whole thing together. But they said, no, everything looks fine, just put it on the bike, start up, see how it goes, and you can decide how you like it from there. Since it was a California bike anyway, I figured since he has 2 other Bandits, maybe he knows what he's doing. So that's kind of where I am. But since these 2 little bastards look alike, they're not by any means. One of them that has a I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's a much larger diameter in there, and the other one's a lot smaller. And I checked with my bike. I actually polished these bastards up just to get numbers off of them. And what I found, and I checked with all the carburetors, the jet that has the little slit in there, which looks like it almost has a washer on there, that is the 60. That is going to go right there. That's the what they call a starter jet, or then they call it something else, who the hell knows. This one goes on the main jet. This actually has a this is the 144. This is what has the, I don't know if you can see through there or not, but that has the larger opening. So that goes on the main jet. There's usually small freaking writing on top of there. My concern is I'm not going to turn this bike, which is a badass looking bike by the way, I'm not going to turn this into a race bike or anything like that. I just want a badass looking commuter bike. My commute's about 32 miles to work every day, just one way, so it's like 63 miles roughly, and I want nice gas mileage. And since I live in San Diego, 72 degrees year round, I couldn't ask for anything better. So just to let you know, on this bike, and I don't want to say it's the same for every Bandit, but on mine, the little, where's the camera? That little line that goes across, it makes it look like there's a washer on there. That is the starter jet. That's the one that says 60 on it. It has a little R and it says 60. This bad boy says, you won't be able to see it, but it says 144. But so that's where that goes. So this one goes on here, just below the main jet. My fat fingers can get it on. There we go. Put that on there. Put that on there. Okay. I'm going to tighten these down, but I'm not going to crank them down. Obviously, like I said, you don't want to. This is just not, high-grade aluminum aircraft. So that's on there. That's already tightened on there. Like I said, I put this on the other day, and now it looks all nice and pretty in there. Okay. Now, what I want to put in is these are beautiful. Wait till you guys see the before and after photos. I'm going to link in here. This, I worked so hard with steel wool, with carburetor cleaner, and Q-tips are the greatest thing ever. Trying to get everything off, scraping and whatnot, and these little, hard to get in nooks and crannies. Nothing would clean, but like I said, it's spotless now. So I know that Yamalube combustion chamber cleaner just took out that corrosion like it was nothing. And here in California, I found out we get weak cleaning products because of all the tree huggers. And I love, I recycle. I don't pollute, or anything like that, or throw trash away that I can't recycle. And so I get it. But all of our carburetor cleaners, even our B12 fuel additive, that's basically watered down. So while Yamalu is still kicking ass, I've got a couple cans of it because I already have it sprayed into the valves. After I took the carbs off, I sprayed some in every single air intake there on the cylinders, and I'm going to take the spark plugs off and put some in there. And they said that's the best thing to do. You don't want to ride around with the oil on there. You want to change the oil after you do that because everything's going to go into the oil, obviously. But that's what they recommend doing. So I'm going to do that. Okay, now it's time for the fuel air mixture needle. Another baggie of goodies. Since I'm down to the lowest few things here, let's take these out. And I recommend a white tablecloth if you're going to do this, or a towel, because you don't want to lose one of these little bastards. That sucks. Because you'll lose it like on a Saturday night after like 5, so that when you can't do shit, can't even go to the dealership until Monday. So you have to just sit there and just crawl around your carpet trying to figure out where the damn thing went. Okay. Now, my factory settings on these was 3 out. So what I'm going to do is, this is the washer that goes on top of there, on top of the spring, and then this little bastard goes right on top of here. Now, it doesn't hurt to do a little test and make sure that this big bad boy is going to fit there, which he does. Since you do have different size ones, I already know I've changed out 4,000 of these things, so I know what size they are, but you just want to make sure. And just change them out every time. This one is really, bendable and malleable. The other ones were, like I said, like plastic. Okay. So what I want to do is you want to turn the carb upside down, because I don't want to try to feed this in upside down. There's no reason to do that. And you want to be careful because you don't want to bend that freaking brass. All right, where's my small fillet, my small regular screwdriver? What the hell did it go? Great, somebody stole my freaking phone. Son of a bitch. What the hell, man? Okay, come on out, big boy. Alright. I have to go find my other screwdriver. It is disappeared on me. Can't love that. Right back. Alright, finally found the screwdriver. Okay. So once again, you just want to have your washer and then the little black O-ring. I'm just going to put this in there. Like I said, you don't want to force this sucker in here by any means. Well, that just worked out great, didn't it? All right, everything's still attached. Fucked that up on camera. All right. Okay. And I'm probably being more careful than I should, but who gives a shit? They're my carbs. What do I care? Okay. I had a, what was it, a 93 CB1000F. Somebody had, I don't know what the hell they did. They cranked this all the way up and they broke the little tip in there, and there was no way to get it out. We tried compressed air, we tried everything. Nothing worked. I ended up having to buy a whole new carb for that because there's just nothing you could do. I mean, nothing. Okay, there it is seated, and I can actually see it sticking out there. It looks like a little splinter down there in the carb itself, poking out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it 3 turns out. Good, nice perpendicular. There's, oh, mess that up. That's it. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Exactly 3. So we'll see how that works. Okay. Now let's do the float. Okay. Where's the screw for that bad boy? La la la. we are. Okay. Now this has a little bit of green on here. That's actually remnants of the Yamalube. I was going to wipe it off, but I figure it's going to come off in the gas anyway and then go into the motor, which I want. But this is really nice and smooth through that. Ah, there it is. I don't know what that denting meant. Now put this on. Ooh, I need my stronger reading glasses for this. Alright, alright, alright. And I'm going to actually measure the height of the float bowls once I get done. I think the manual says 13 plus or minus 1, so that's what I'm going to shoot for. I hope you can see this. So I'm just aligning that. Put that in there. Can't see this with my other hand. Everything aligned nicely. And every bike's just a little bit different on how they're screwed in, so you really want to pay attention to that. Oh, that's too small. Just big one. Okay, so that's in there. Oh, you just watched me mess it up too. Holy cow, rock on, guys. I hope somebody saw that. The needle moved on me and actually came off. Nice. My fiddling with it, trying to get the bar in there, actually showed it slipping off. Nice. Did not even see that. And that's actually why I like to take my time doing this, and it's nice to have 4 so you can kind of see how everything's coming together. Oh, that's how it came off. Look at that. Because you don't want to freaking have to... I've had nothing but caffeine today. I've had, like, I don't know, 8 cherry sodas. So I got some caffeine going here. But you don't want to have to... It's kind of like that measure twice, cut once type of theory. You don't want to just rush through and put everything together just to find out that something you should have been paying attention to that you missed. Where it's twisted, now you have to take the whole thing apart and fix one little minor freaking issue. That would suck. And that's why I don't want to do that. Alright. Alright, lovely. Cool. So that's in there. We can see that the float is on there. It's all good to go. That's tightened down. The float seat bowl, whatever they call it, is in there as well, and everything moves freely. You don't want it to bind up or anything like that. That's why I even steel wool the float bar there, rod, whatever the hell you want to call it, just so there's no corrosion on that and it just is smooth, because you can have a lot of serious issues doing it that way. Okay. The bowl. And I know this is carb 1 because this has the screw that holds on the choke, which is nice, man. This is going to be my first bike where I don't have to freaking try to stick my big fat ass monkey arms in the across the motor, which would be nice. Very rare. Got the new O-ring for the float bowl. Like a glove. Look at that. Oh, this one's going to be just a little bit of a bitch, I can tell. And you don't want to get this freaking crimped wrong, because that would suck. I've actually had these and I've kind of let them sit out in the sun. and form a little bit, kind of soften so that I can pull these together, because I don't want this to, whoops, sorry, you guys can't see. I don't want this to get crimped or anything like that, or bound in the when I put it on, because that would fucking suck. Alright. I think I am going to let this one sit out in the sun for just 2 or 3 minutes. Like I said, my patio is about 120 degrees here in San Diego, just from the heat we're having. So I'm going to do that real quick. Oh shit, that's hot. Alright. I generally don't like to do the top without having the bottom done, just because of the float. However, I think if I'm careful, I'll be okay. Okay. What I'm going to do is, while I'm waiting for that, and it's not going to be long, I'm not going to let that sit out there very long at all. I'm going to put the float back in this one. And I've cleaned everything. You don't use carburetor cleaner on these at all. I'll use maybe like some soap and water, you know, make sure they're not torn or anything like that. I don't use anything harsh at all, because like carburetor cleaner can cause these to just expand. It's really the freakiest looking thing, and just not fit at all. I'm going to make sure that's fitting in here, and it's going to go down that little needle in there. Help you guys see that. Getting it to a line in there. Okay, you guys aren't going to be able to see that. Let's see. Come on. There we go. Oh, it just popped out. There we go. Okay. Now, here's where that other bigger O-ring goes right there. Why does it go there? Not a freaking clue. Don't know what it does. Like I said, I don't claim to know what all the parts and such do. I just know how they go in there. I've took these apart the other day, and I've been researching the crap out of this. Just want to make sure I get it right. That's all I want to do. Now, here's the lid to the diaphragm. The diaphragm, you always want to make sure fits in there nice. You don't want it, like I said, ripped or torn. You want it to fit perfectly. The spring goes in there. And this little hole here on the cover is where the O-ring goes. You can see that. Now, I usually just bend the spring a little bit, wedge it in there so that it's going to fit, and then try to do just a, you know, quick and simple placement. And it's on there very solid. I just want to get this down so it's not going to go anywhere. And I'll tighten that up in a minute. That's good. So I know that's taken care of. Now let's go get that O-ring real quick. Okay, this little guy is going to be a bugger. Let's see here. All right, that is almost there. Let me shut the door. Okay. So hopefully this is going to behave. going to be very slow putting this together because I really want to make sure this thing fits perfectly, because I do not want freaking up a fuel bowl leak. Alright, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fiddle with this until I get it on there, because I don't want to waste your time on this. But literally what I do is when I get this fit into the grooves correctly, and I may use just a little bit of WD-40 just to try to get some kind of tension on the surface to hold it there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm literally going to turn the carbs upside down and place it on there. I'm not going to try to flip this over and put it on the carbs, because that won't work. So anyway, I'll be right back. Okay, that took a little bit of work, maybe an extra 5 minutes. Yeah, I just kind of got some WD-40, went around it, stuck it on there, literally held it in like 4 or 5 places, kind of stretching it out a little bit, and then very slowly let it go. And after 2 or 3 times doing that, it held one position just long enough for me to flip the carb over, or the carb over, and put it on there. So I'm gonna watch that one. We're gonna see what the other ones do. I'm not gonna let you guys be tortured with me doing all that. But like I said, with this, once these are all on, I'm going to get some carburetor cleaner, and I'm going to go through a lot more on this as well. But or maybe not. It's not really that bad. I'm not concerned. You couldn't even see these really on the bike except for the sides. So I'm not, I've got bigger fish to fry and things I want to do with this bike. But as long as the inside, all the channels, all the jets and everything else are nice and clean, that's all I cared about. That's my main thing. Now, I will tell you one thing this guy did that I always do, but he did it a little differently, is these screws. If you watch my disassembly video, the first freaking screw on here, I had to use these little pterodactyl looking T-Rex channel locks to get this off. And I will sometimes, if needed, like when there's like four screws and there's not really a lot of room to get in there, I will actually Dremel out the sides to make one big long opening, and then I'll grab a great big flathead and get in there with the sides knocked out, and it cranks open every time. I will a lot of times change these to the same Allen screws that are on here. I'm assuming these have to be aftermarket or whatever. He probably been in there before. Well, obviously he did, because he changed the jets. But he put standard Allen wrenches on a metric bike, which really kind of bugs me, so I have to make note of that. So I have not only metric tools, but now I have to use standard Allen for these ones, which kind of sucks, but it's all right, no big deal. All right, well, that's how I do that one. If I did anything wrong, please let me know. If I did anything wrong that I find out, I'll let you know. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to speed up the camera now, and I'm going to go through these and put them all together, and then we'll go into taking them apart to get these out. Like I said, I don't know if you can see this very well, but here you can see on that T there that the seal was instantly going to start leaking as soon as fuel got in there, because it's bulging out. I don't know if the camera can see that, but yeah, that was going to go. So I think I made a right move on that one. So, but anyway, time to speed it up, and now I get to turn on some music and jam while I do this.